Hello everybody, I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope that you've had a amazing week, and I hope that I can keep it amazing, and if anything, just not make it worse than it is for you currently. That's my hope. So, at the end of today's episode, we'll be reviewing a little book called Batman Superman World's Finest number 31. So there's a variant cover of that right here. Actually, I have a large picture we'll show at the end of the episode. But first up, we're going to talk about video games. After that, we're going to toy around a bit, look at the near future of comic books, and then the review. So, first up, anyone who watches this show or my stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/HoarderGamer, knows I'm a big fan of the Diablo video gaming franchise. And I very much love Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. Those are my two favorite games in the series. And Diablo 4, The Vessel of Hatred, they have been very busy. Politics portion of the show. There is no politics portion of the show. For that, follow me on Twitter, and occasionally on my stream, But on occasion, this will delve into some politics, but like not the biggest part of it, you know. But the politics of Sanctuary in Diablo 4, that was almost a segue, right? That was almost a segue. Not as good as a Greg way, which is when Greg Miller does a segue, because they're pretty epic, and he calls them Greg ways when he does them. But it would seem that they want us to know what all happened with Diablo 4. So the story campaign. So I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers, because certain people haven't played the game yet. Hero mentor. But you know, I definitely want to cover some aspects, you know. So they did a really cool, like, 6-minute video talking about all the events that occurred in the campaign of Diablo 4. And that includes your character, the Wanderer, Lorath, Neyrelle, Inarius, and Lilith. So it goes into all those elements, and then it expounds in another video that came out today all about the Vessel of Hatred. And that gets very interesting, because I thought the focus was going to be Mephisto, Neyrelle, which they are definitely focuses of it, but there's a new big bad in town, everybody. A new big bad in Sanctuary. So, there's a Cathedral of Light, which was this religion/cult, and they seemed like the good guys, but when you got to know more about them in the campaign, you started to question that a little bit. Anyway, if you thought they were brutal, if you thought they were extreme, wait till you meet the Burn Knights. The Burn Knights basically fought in the fires of hell and have survived, and they are led by a lunatic. Sounds like a complete psychopath, and yeah, he is like so much more intense apparently than the Reverend Mother Pravda, who we got to meet in the campaign. So I thought that was cool to hear about. I didn't know that there would be another faction of the Knights of the Cathedral of Light. So I thought that was really cool. Then there's also like a mystical person that is part of like the spirit world, and the Spirit Born is connected to that. So that sounds really interesting and cool, and it sounds very like expansive. Like, we knew it was going to be robust in the way that there's going to be a lot to do, including a raid type activity for between 2 to 4 players, and other content in endgame, as well as mercenaries. We got mercenaries. I talked about them before. You've got a cannibalistic crone, a shield bearer, a child possessed by a demon, and a drunken archer. So this is all part of the Vessel of Hatred expansion. So there's a lot there. Plus, this will also do for progression, character progression, what Season 4 did for itemization. So there's a lot to look forward to. So they did go into some depth as the connections and how things are going to play out between Mephisto and Neyrelle, but I don't want to completely spoil everything for people. So obviously they didn't say exactly what happens. We'll learn that when we play October 8th. But yeah, it looks incredible, and I really am looking forward to it. That's probably the one game as a service that I absolutely love. I really do like the First Descendant as well as Warframe too, but I keep coming back to Diablo. I think it has to do with a lot of different things. The color palette, the characterizations, the world it takes place in, the combat. All of it is just really incredibly well done. Also, I'm a huge fan for that over-the-head aspect that games like Path of Exile and Diablo use. So that too, I'm a big fan of those things. Okay, let's see here. Next up, we're going to talk about the Plucky Squire and the Plucky Hoarder tried out the Plucky Squire last night on their stream, and I will say that I think it's pretty awesome. I was surprised by the lack of combat. There is some combat, you can upgrade weapons and abilities and everything, but puzzles really seem to take the front seat, and you know, like the rear seat, the back seat, whatever you want to say, holding on to the side of the van. Basically, that's where the action part of it is. So I'm interested to see if that balance changes. However, a very clever game. It breaks the fourth wall, damn near shatters it, and then it kind of messes with your perception because the levels are wrapped around, you know, things like post-it notes, cardboard boxes, and you can jump in and out. So it goes from like a 2D side-scrolling game similar to Link to the Past, and then you jump out of that and it's like 3D everything, and you can bring items between both worlds, and you can turn the page in the storybook that you're in and alter things. Plus there's a mechanic where like you'll see a sentence and one of the words in the sentence will be glowing. If you smack that with your sword, you can pick it up and move it to a different sentence, altering what's happening on that page in the book. It's very cool. It's very cool. It retails, I believe, at $29.99. It's on Xbox, PlayStation consoles, as well as I'm pretty sure PC, possibly Switch. Not 100% on Switch. But yeah, it's just about on every console, and I think it's really cool. The Plucky Squire. And finally, everybody, I have been enjoying Funko Fusion. However, it had a rough beginning for me. So I picked it up. Well, first off, we'll start with the fact, for whatever reason, there was an issue with shipments. And Best Buy was one of the only places that got in physical copies of the game. GameStop, most GameStops didn't get it in. They expected it a week after release. And the same thing with Amazon.com. Most Amazon.com orders were pushed back a week after release. So that was kind of bizarre. So I had to wrangle with that in order to get a copy, but I got a copy. It had this really bizarre bug that I think they may have fixed. I'm not sure yet. I did not encounter it on Monday night, so that was a good thing. Basically, one of the things you have to do is go to a mold machine. And if you're thinking, what's a mold machine? It's kind of like when you go to the museum or the zoo and you pop in like $1. It's probably $2 now. And then it like creates like a wax version of like a platypus or, you know, King Tut, something like that. Okay. And this Funko Fusion has that. You have to constantly use these machines in order to make health, weapons, although kind of like weird weapons, like grenades and like a turret. Not like the guns you use. Like, I don't think you can make any actual just... Well, no, you can make guns later. I don't have enough pieces to do that yet. There's one called the Thunder Stick I remember getting some pieces for. Anyway, you use these machines a lot. So what happened was, the game would occasionally just lock you into that machine. The machine would have no inventory, and you'd have to back out to the factory. Now, you might think, well, if the game's saving a lot, like the more modern, like Lego-type games, which is this is similar to. It's also former devs that worked on Lego games. You might be, well, that's not too bad, lose a couple minutes of progress. The only problem is this. When you're in a level, it saves, like, the collectibles you find, and certain types of chests you open, like certain kind of upgrades and things for those same machines, but it doesn't save your progress. So 3 times of the game's issues, I had to go through the Jurassic World level, the second level, 3 times. And each time is like a half hour, 40 minutes. So that was frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. I did have a good time though with the combat and the puzzles and everything. So I kind of just stuck with it. Now, one of those times it was on me. I went and opened a door, okay, and as I'm rushing through the door, for whatever reason, I hit that button again, it locks behind me, and I can't get out of this tunnel. So for that one, I would say on me, but partially maybe the game, but I would not look at it the same way as the whole issue with the mold system. Devs are streaming now on Twitter talking about the game. Well, that's cool. That's cool. 1010 games. 1010 games are to come. Oh, wait. Okay. Are you talking about Funko Fusion or the Plucky Squire? Plucky Squire has different devs. That was not 1010 games. That's Funko Fusion. Okay, cool. So yeah, Funko Fusion is by 1010 games. And like I said, a lot of former devs that worked on Lego games. And I think it's really cool so far. They are not against making changes to quality of life, which is very good because I have a number of suggestions. So obviously, save points, saving in levels. I feel that every time you like do a puzzle, get an item from that puzzle, right? Anytime you like find an objective, anything like that, the game should save in the background. You should not lose your progress in the way you do currently. Some levels I can understand why they did this. They're super short, and you know, 5 or 10 minutes is no big deal. However, a lot of the levels are more in the 30 to 45 minute range. Depending on your issue with a puzzle or not seeing something to interact with, could be an hour. So that's where things get real frustrating. Definitely tone down the enemy encounters. I am not the only person that has compared this to Dark Souls. Now, I think that's too far to go, right? I don't think it's quite as brutal as Dark Souls. But imagine if you're trying to work on a puzzle, you have a limited amount of time to do that, and constant enemies are attacking you. It makes you wonder who the game was like developed for. You know, obviously Chucky's in it, Megan's in it, The Thing is one of the worlds the game takes place in. So it skews a bit older, like I'd say teen to adult, but a lot of people looking for a Lego type experience, especially with characters designed like this, aren't looking for something brutal. And I will say the Battlestar Galactica boss at the end of that world was brutal, absurd. There were things like you had to leave the room in order to make new items and bring them in, and hope that on your way in you weren't hit by a laser and hurt terribly. I almost went through all 3 of my guys, and that takes quite a bit actually. That's a lot of damage to go through all 3 guys. I went through numerous health drinks. There were times where I had to run back and get more health. You have to take these crystals that you find earlier in Battlestar Galactica and move them between different machines as a laser grid is circling non-stop. Like, it's craziness. Other games have had similar things, but nowhere near as many ads to worry about, you know, extra enemies to worry about. So, yeah, I definitely say that they should have either difficulty levels or just tone down how many enemies spawn at one time. There are also enemies that are insanely difficult to kill. There are gold Cylons, and you have to shoot them. You have to basically go through, I'd say, about half of your amount of bullets, if not more. And then bullets no longer work. You have to run up and do melee. You have to do that 3 or 4 times as other enemies are attacking you. It's crazy, and the game doesn't tell you this. You have to figure it out yourself. Otherwise, you think that there are invincible enemies everywhere, and you just have to deal with them. I had this issue on Jurassic World. There's this dinosaur that isn't like gigantic or anything. It's not like Indominus Rex or anything like that. It's just a little bigger than you are, but it has like a couple horns on the back of its head. And apparently you have to shoot it, melee it, shoot it, back and forth in order to kill it. I didn't know that. So I kept shooting it. If you shoot it, it gets tranquilized and it kind of lays down for about 5-10 seconds. Then it comes back at you and comes kind of like hunting you. And yeah, now I at least understand that there's a way to kill that thing. So when I go back and get other collectibles in the Jurassic World parts, that'll be much better. So let's see here. Yeah, because the biggest issue right now, the amount of enemies and like how lethal certain enemies are, it basically makes puzzle solving and the bosses a chore. So at bosses, I don't mind it. At the end of each level, there's a huge, giant version of something in that franchise. And you face off against it, shooting these, like, purple areas. But if you shoot enough of them, a weakness opens and you attack that. Yes, there are other ads coming at you, but, like, with Jurassic World, it wasn't too bad. It was with Battlestar Galactica. I can't speak to any of the other worlds because I haven't gotten quite that far yet. But we'll definitely see. I also think that, like, a little hand-holding would be nice. You know? Like the Beatles song, right? I'm gonna hold your hand. But, like, not too much. Like, not... There's just, like, none right now. You wander around not knowing where to go or what to do, except for some vague sentence on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And you're like, well, what about everything else? Does this interact with that? You don't know. You got to figure that out. There's so many times where you're going to use the different items, weapons, and things like that, not knowing what to do until you get to the world that explains it to you. So you're like, should I do this now? Should I wait? Only you couldn't do it now if you wanted to. So, yeah. Now that was an issue here and there with LEGO games. It seems a little bit worse here, a little bit more intense here because of how many different things there are to do, especially to open up bonus cameo levels. There's like special ways to do that, and they don't exactly explain how. Okay. Now, I will say this, though. Umbrella Academy got a ridiculous amount of love based on the hub, as well as the first level of Umbrella Academy that I've played in Funko Fusion. My God, they went so far as to license the song Sinner Man by Nina Simone. Okay, and I guess they've licensed other songs too. If you've watched the Umbrella Academy or read the comic, you get the face-off against Cha-Cha and the other assassin, and that is awesome. So basically, you could just shoot them, but you'll see, hey, wait, they're invincible. They keep coming back. They basically position themselves on near a device of some kind. So you attack the device in order to hurt them, and then it's like a puzzle to solve each time you face off against them. And then they'll teleport away, kind of similar to like how 5 can teleport. The level design and layout was really cool. I feel they did an incredible job, at least with the first level of Umbrella Academy. So I'm very much looking forward to the rest of that. Battlestar Galactica overall was really cool. It did bring up the whole idea that maybe the game could use maps here and there. Because holy cow, was it confusing to get through some of the Battlestar Galactic areas. The first one was super simple. You're in a courtyard, there's tons of debris. You have to destroy the debris and bring, I believe it's a mother and daughter through the debris field. I don't recall 1970s Battlestar Galactica that well. So you have to take them through a debris field, fight enemies, get items, and then you build yourself a turret, and you use that to open up this other area. Plus, that turret can be used in other areas to destroy enemies. So, pretty neat. Pretty neat. But so far, the most love I've seen, I would have to say, has been in Umbrella Academy, which is very surprising because I know a lot of people haven't seen that, you know, compared to the amount of people that have seen, like, Jurassic World. You know? Okay, I'm pretty sure that's just about all the game information we have right now. What I was talking about was the bosses, right? The bosses in Funko Fusion, like a big giant version of it, right? And you hit the purple parts, you expose the weak part, attack the weak part, eventually the thing will die. Here's the thing though, that's a few waves of doing that because you're collecting purple bits of like dark energy, plastic, or just dark energy, not exactly sure what it is, and you're taking it to a machine, and you have to get enough parts of this in the machine in order to summon another giant character, but this time a hero, in order to fight the villain. So then what you have to do is you have to attack the villain as the hero is helping you, and then that's the end of the boss battle. And I can say that the Jurassic World one was a lot of fun. But again, the Battlestar Galactica one, whoa, way too intense. I could not get over how difficult it was. Younger people that do play this game, because even though it's teen to adult, I'm pretty sure it's going to end up underneath some Christmas trees this year for younger players. I truly think that'll happen. Because it's nowhere near the level of something like Grand Theft Auto, and kids that are probably too young to play that are anyway. So I see, you know, it's not just going to be like teens and adults playing this. I don't think they would find it fun to fight the boss in Battlestar Galactica. Okay, everybody. Now, we are done with video games for this week. It is time for us to toy around. And how are we going to toy around this week? Well, first up with Silver Age Batman and Ace the Bat Hound. I love the detail on this. I love the actual material cape, or soft goods cape, as they like to call it. I love their take on Ace the Bat Hound. Looks brutal. Looks like really intense and like intimidating, right? And yeah, I think the Batman looks really good too. I think this is a good take on Silver Age Batman. This pre-order will be live on Friday, September 20th. So I believe all these McFarlane pre-orders are live then. There's two actually. Okay, there's a Parallax version of Sinestro. That will be live as well. There is a Noel Batman, so from Batman Noel, the Christmas-themed book. Very dark and intense and grim, not like happy, fun Christmas. And then there's a Batman Beyond, but a lot of people are saying they did that action figure badly. Like, people are questioning the chin on Terry, as well as them possibly just using a Bruce Wayne Batman head and just painting it differently. So you'll have to be the judge of that. Being that people weren't thrilled by it, I didn't know if I wanted to have a picture here of it. So yeah, you'll have to see that for yourself, I guess. But after we have Batman here, we have a little Star Wars for you. a little Star Wars Lego. But by little, I mean $500 worth of Lego. Looks like it comes with, I think it's like 10 figures, plus an 11th, which is Jabba the Hutt, which is huge. And it's the Jabba sail barge. So, yeah, it's an insanely big set. And pre-orders go live. Now, they go live for LEGO Insiders on October 3rd. And if you're wondering if you're a LEGO Insider, you'll probably know because your relationship with your significant other is probably hanging by a thread because of how much LEGO you purchase. So if you're wondering if you're a LEGO Insider, that's probably the best indication, I think. Now, October 6th, everyone is able to pre-order this. But that early time to order it is October 3rd. And again, that's just for the insiders. Next up, we have... Let's see here. Beetlejuice! The McFarlane Monsters series, Beetlejuice. So I think it's a really good sculpt, especially the face. I think they did a really good job on him. I believe it's a posed statue. I don't think he's posable like an action figure. But I really like how they did him. He's $24.99. Pre-orders are actually live for him right now. So you're going to get Beetlejuice in your life right now. Okay? And... let's see here. Look at this. Look at this, everybody. Red Tux Beetlejuice from Beetlejuice. So, yeah, I think the detail's really good. Again, that's a nice facial sculpt. I like the background showing Lydia and Astrid. I think these are really cool, especially at the $24.99 price point. I thought that a lot of the McFarlane Maniacs were $29.99. But these are $24.99 for these two. So, yeah, there's a lot of Beetlejuice toys coming out. So, definitely keep an eye out for them. And I think also, too, I have one more Lego pick. This shows you the inside of Jabba's sail barge. Take a look at that. It's quite a bit of detail. It's very large. Also, again, quite expensive. Quite expensive. But, yeah, another little picture for you there. And now we are officially done toying around for this week. Next up, we are going to look at the near future of comic books. All the way to 1 week from today. Okay. And first up we have Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, #1. A lot of words there, right? It's a long, very long title. Well, Batman, The Long Halloween was a Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb story project, all about, like, I believe it's 12 issues about a holiday killer. And so that was a huge hit. It's an excellent book. So then they did like a second series. This is the third and final. This is the finale. And Tim Sale passed away recently, so it's also basically like a memory, like a homage memory thing for him. So definitely keep an eye out on this. Great, you know, for the spooky season. Comes out next week, you know, just what, about a week and a half before October. So Batman, The Long Halloween, Last Halloween, #1. And there's a threat that's basically going against Batman, Robin, and Commissioner Gordon. So it should be pretty awesome. Next up, we have Frankenstein issue 2. So Universal Monsters Frankenstein issue 1 was really cool, had some clever ideas and changes to the original story, and gorgeous art by Michael Walsh. You can see right here this cover, this one is actually done by Michael Walsh. So you get a taste of his artwork style right here, and I very much loved issue 1. It's only 4 issues in this entire story arc. That, you know, tells the story of Universal Frankenstein with some changes here and there. And if you missed it, the Dracula one was really good too. And I want to say that was written by, I believe it was James Tynion IV, but I could be wrong on that. But yes, Frankenstein number 2. Ram V's opera, his overture, his entire crazy madcap adventure into horror ends with Detective Comics 1089. This is a larger than normal size issue, I think. And yeah, so this ends his run. And then Detective Comics is taken over by a new writer as of October, I believe. So, yes. This story arc has been beautiful, slightly messy, intense, and really steeped in horror. I think it's really good. I think it's incredibly unique, and I highly recommend it. Now, again, like I usually say, if you haven't read any of the other parts, because there's, I want to say, 18 issues or something like that. It's quite a few issues that tell this entire arc. It was actually broken up into like pieces, but like 2 different volumes, but it's kind of the overall thing. So you can definitely check out the volumes. There's softcover and hardcover volumes for 1 and 2 right now. And then volume 3 is what I believe will finish this story arc once that comes out. So, but yeah, if you have been reading, definitely pick this up. I'm expecting it to be completely insane and one hell of a read, actually. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man 61. Actually, I think it's 58. I think that says 58. I thought it was 61 for some reason. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man, and this is where the end begins. So whatever you thought of Zeb Wells' run, this is where the end begins, and that run comes to an end. I believe it's the last maybe 3 issues or 4 issues, something like that. Another writer is taking over, and I believe, I want to say it's Joe Kelly. I believe it's Joe Kelly, and I think Ed McGuinness is doing the art. But that's going to be the 8 Lives of Spider-Man or 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story arc involving Doctor Doom. So that sounds pretty amazing. I believe that story arc starts in November, I'm pretty sure. So, yes. This is the point to jump on Amazing Spider-Man if you want to see what's going on and how it's going to lead into the next Amazing Spider-Man run. Ultimate Spider-Man number 9. The Sinister Six. A slow unveiling as Spider-Man faces off against them. Now, what's interesting to me here is in the solicit, I could have sworn a previous issue kind of showed them all like in an office with Wilson Fisk, but maybe that isn't the real group, or maybe something happens there and, you know, other sinister people take the places of the previous ones. I don't know exactly. But between the Sinister Six and Tony Stark returning, things have been very busy for the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. And Ultimate Spider-Man is, I think, a truly excellent Spider-Man comic book. I like it very much. So this is actually one I like, don't miss every month, Ultimate Spider-Man. And with that, everybody, we are done with the future of comic books, the near future, all the way to 1 week from today. And with that, it is time for us to have our review of Batman Superman World's Finest, number 31. So, this is the Eclipso story arc that I was looking forward to. Because Eclipso is a very dangerous villain, but it's also one I didn't know too much about. So, there is a Dr. Gordon who is, or was, possessed by this creature, this thing called Eclipso. And they thought, hey, we took care of this. He's all good now. And we're going to take the crystal that Eclipso is in, which is like this onyx crystal, and we're going to keep that in the Watchtower, the Justice League Watchtower. So there's no way it could possibly infect or affect Dr. Gordon and have Eclipso return. Well, Dr. Gordon is working on a device and trying to figure out why it's not working, and all of a sudden he's going through these pieces and he sees the thing he needs, and he's like, oh, it's this item right here. He uses it, and right in front of him it transforms into a see-through crystal, and at the same time an eclipse happens. Eclipso is now back, and the first thing he does is he manipulates members of the Justice League at the Watchtower so they start fighting one another. And then Red Tornado goes to him and he's basically like, your abilities will not work on me, Eclipso. So basically do your best or do your worst, whatever. And Eclipso's like, yes, but even sentient machines have a heart. And then he rips out the heart from Red Tornado. Meanwhile, Dr. Gordon, who is also, it seems to be a mix between Eclipso and himself, has a device that he finally gets together, and he uses a beam from that device to bring Red Tornado, with a broken heart, to Earth. And luckily, a member of the JSA, the Justice Society of America, finds him, and it looks like they're going to help him out and, end up taking on Eclipso. So, very cool issue, very interesting villain. Eclipso kind of reminds me a little bit of, like, I believe Dr. June Moon, known also as the Enchantress. I believe that's her name in the comic, too, at least at one point I believe it was. I don't think that's just in the 2016 Suicide Squad film. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that, like one person and like another like personality takes over them, and then they do horrendous things. So yeah, Batman Superman World's Finest is actually one of my favorite monthly books, and it's Mark Waid, and very recently Dan Mora was doing the art, and Dan Mora actually, I believe, did a number of the, it still does a number of the covers, but not like the actual book itself. He's going to be working on Justice League Unlimited, which is going to be a real cool thing to see him taking on just about every member of the Justice League. As in drawing them, not fighting them, because they're probably not real. So he's not, Dan Moore is not going to actually fight the members of the Justice League. Even if they were real, Dan Moore seems like a decent person, so I don't think the Justice League would want to fight him. So, okay, everybody, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I don't like to make a big thing of it, but if you like the show, feel free to sub. If there's anyone else you know that likes comics, toys, and or video games, maybe all three, let them check out the show. Let them know about it. That's really cool. And, yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Tomorrow will be Games on a Plane, gamesonaplane.com. That's Xbox Live Mike and I. I don't know what game we'll be playing, but it will be a game on a plane. And, let's see. My next stream is going to be Friday. And don't forget Super Hour. That's co-host is me, right? I'm the co-host. And the actual main man is Hero Mentor. And we talk about a whole mess of things. And that appears on YouTube as if by magic in the evening, late afternoon on Sundays. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. And I will see you hopefully next week. Bye-bye.